what's the guy's website? Something like, I don't know, pianoimprov.com maybe. I'm not sure. Anyways, going through the real book song by song, I kind of like that idea. But there's so many songs in the real book that nobody plays anymore, or if they were ever popular, I don't know. I've never even heard of them. Butterfly by Herbie Hancock. Now, I'm sure if you're like a big Herbie Hancock fan, you might know this song. And I've never even tried to get through this chart, but I would just say, on to the next. Captain Marvel by Chick Corea. I've heard that title. I'm not that familiar with the tune. Canyon Song by Ralph Towner. No way. I'm going to get to one here, and I'm going to work on it with you as soon as I find one I know. Seora, Lee Morgan. I don't know. All right, here's one, but it's too long. I've never done a video about Cherokee, and I probably never will. Chick Corea, Children's Song. Wow, it looks like a cool tune in 6/8 time, almost like a little classical composition. I should have to check that out someday. Don't think of it. Colors of Chloe by Eberhard Weber. Yeah, I don't know. It looks like a cool tune, but Ornette Coleman, next. Steve Swallow, Como en Vietnam. I don't know. The new real books doesn't have a lot of these songs. Mine's pretty old, obviously. Come Sunday. All right, here we go. Duke Ellington. Kind of explain what I'm doing here. I'm just going to use open voicings. It seems like a slow ballad type of song. So here we go. Starts with F7 with a D up there. That's a 13 chord, so F13. Here's E flat 7, and there's a sharp 11 as the melody note. So, you can tell this is a kind of a jazzy song just by the way it's starting off. Hey, I like this tune. Been years since I played it. Looks like the bridge goes like up a third, kind of like rhythm changes. It's one of my favorite endings, is to just drop down by a whole step and just walk it right up. No matter if it fits with the melody note or not, you just kind of just walk it right up like that. So this is just a perfect tune to like practice your open voicings on. And so a lot of what I do comes from these open voicing formulas that were kind of developed at Berklee College and taught to me by my teacher, Ted Howe. And, it starts off with an F7 chord, and you always look at the melody note and see what is that in relation to the chord. And this is a good song to really put your thinking cap on, because, most of the melody notes are not chord tones. They're like extensions, or you can call them tensions, or you can call them color tones, but basically they're ninths, 11ths, and 13ths, okay? all those terms basically mean the same thing. So F7, and right away I can see that it's the 13 on top, all right? Now, it's a sixth above, so you have to realize that a 13 is the same as a sixth, an 11 is the same as a 4, and a 9 is the same as a 2. The only difference is that when you call them ninths and 11ths and 13ths, you are assuming that the 7th is in the chord. So if you see a F 13, which is what this chord actually has to be, it means F7 with a 13. F7 with a 13. And the chord just says F7, but what I need to do when I'm reading a chart like this is to know what note, what that D is. Is it part of the chord? Is it a chord tone? Is it one of the tensions? In other words, a 9th, an 11th, or a 13? Or is it just like a melody note that doesn't even really fit the chord, you know? It could be like an E or something, you know, and then I got to deal with that, all right? And usually you just deal with it and move on. All right, so F13, and right away I'm seeing this A natural with an E flat 7th chord. You have to know that's a sharp 11, and then you call upon your vast resources of sharp 11 chords that you could use, and I'll just do this one, all right? And how do you get those vast resources? Well, you know, you do songs like this and you find really cool chords and then you practice those chords. And then right back to that F7. All right. And here it says D plus 7. All right, now, the way most jazz musicians now think of that is a D7, but altered, all right? Because the plus 7, the plus and the 7 don't have anything to do with each other. It's D7, and the plus means it's augmented, which is a sharp 5. But jazz musicians, I think, more often now tend to think of this as a flat 13, which means it's an altered dominant. An altered dominant simply means that every tension that you put in there has to be altered. It can't be a regular 9. It can't be a regular 11. It's got to be a sharp 11 or a flat 9. And in this case, it's a flat 13. And so, you know, in my repertoire of chords here, I know that if I have a D7 with that flat 13 on top, that I could put a few other altered tensions in. So I'm going to put a sharp 9 and a flat 9 in, and that's my chord. So here we are from the very beginning again, real quickly, just so you can hear how this chord is supposed to sound. So there it was. I didn't put that thing in there, but... And here's G7, and right away I see that it's a 9 on top. That's an unaltered interval. So I put another unaltered tension. That's a 9. That's not a flat 9. So I put a regular 13 in. Now, there are times you can mix them around, like you can have one altered tension and one unaltered tension. Do something like that, maybe. And, you know, that comes from experience, knowing what you can get away with. All right, now C minor 7, and right away I see that's a 9 on top. So, you know, I know a good chord voicing for that. I know several chord voicings for that. All right. I mean, there are really hundreds of good ones and thousands, if not millions, of other ways to do it. So I'll use this one. And that comes from Berklee College right there. That's one of the formulas. 1, 7, 3, 7, 9. And then I could play it again here maybe. And here's F. All right, so it says F7. I made it a 13 there. And, you know, I'm still using the formula approach. And here it just got so low that I couldn't really come up with a good open voicing other than maybe that. All right, on to the bridge. All right, well, you know, if I want to make this a better voicing. All right. And right here it says to use a flat 9. And here's a G minor, and right away with a C, I know it's a G minor 11th. And you know, you have to train yourself. I could do a video showing you how to train yourself. If anybody leaves me a comment, wants to know how to get good at this stuff, I'll put up something else about this. All right. So now C7, and I see it's a 9, and you know, I know that makes a nice voicing. Here we have F7. Oh, a chord tone. How lovely. All chord tones here. But here's a 13. And let's see, I guess this is an altered G. And here's C9. And here's one case where I think it might really be an augmented chord, because I see the melody's got that sharp 5, or maybe it's a flat 13, but then we have an unaltered interval there. And so that's, when I think augmented, I'm usually thinking around the whole tone scale. So with that G in there, let's call that one augmented. And then back to the A section. But I thought I'd share with you how I got good at playing jazz. And you might think it was from playing a lot of jazz gigs, but I've played really very few. I mostly did a one-man band thing where I would sequence bass lines and try to do jazz drums and stuff. And I worked like 5-6 nights a week doing that, and I would take lots of solos. And I didn't really much care if anybody was into it or not. I was getting paid, and I always sang a lot of tunes, so people like that. But I got a lot of jazz practice there. And also I played along with Jamie Aebersold records a lot. And those are really, those are really great players. And a lot of times, you practice those things and then you go out and play with the local guys and you're a little bit disappointed because they're not as good as Ron Carter on the bass or some of the great drummers, Elvin Jones. Some of these guys are on those play-alongs. And another great thing to do, I just did this the other day, going through my records before I take them all to the dump or maybe I'll take them up to Goodwill or someplace. It's just playing along with records, and I played along with this one. I pulled some of the charts out if I didn't know the tune very well, and it was a lot of fun. So that's good practice too.